I'm Claudia and I'm doing a Hatha Yoga class for Body Club today. So it's going to be a class suitable for all levels, beginners especially, but if you're more advanced but you want something more restful today, that's fine too. We're going to work through all parts of the body so that you feel energized, restored and ready for either sleep or for the rest of your day, depending on what time you do it. Good, so let's start in Intravasana, lying down. It's a really good way to ground, and what I mean by ground is feeling orientated in time and space, because we spend so much of our time in our minds, and yoga aims to bring us back into our bodies, into the wisdom of our bodies. So if you have got a bolster or cushions for under your knees, I'd really recommend it, especially if you've got a lower back pain, but it's not essential. Good, you can also support the head if that's comfortable, having the palms facing up. So beginning with connecting with the element of earth, that which sustains life, where the roots from the trees go deep down to get their nutrients. So perhaps you can imagine there are roots coming down from your body, from your back body. So you're getting a sense of being connected to the place where you're lying. And notice how that makes you feel. Perhaps you notice a heaviness in the body. Notice any dominant sensations, maybe that's a feeling of tension or even pain, but see if we can step back from labels and just be present in the sensation, as if it's something interesting. So you're an observer and a witness to that sensation. And that way we can detach from having a story and get back into the body. It also allows that to change. Sensations never really stay the same. Good, so we'll do a breathwork practice. Equally, if you're not happy lying down on your back, then you can also do this with your knees bent, and that way your back should be really comfortable. Good. So I'd like to place your hands on your abdomen. And if you like, you can close your eyes. Without doing anything, staying with your natural breath, I want you to notice where you feel the breath. And then I want you to bring your attention particularly to your abdomen, your belly, and see if you notice movement of the breath in the belly. It doesn't matter if your breath feels a bit strange or jagged. It's completely fine as it is. This is more an observation rather than a judgment. Check that your jaw is relaxed, and that way the breath can travel smoothly through the air passages. Good. So in yoga we tend to breathe in and out of the nose if it's possible. If you've got a blocked nose, then of course you can breathe in and out of the mouth. But what the nose acts as is a humidifier for the breath. So when we breathe in and out through the nose, the breath is moistened and warmed, And it also is filtered by the tiny little hairs in the nostril. When we breathe in and out of the nose, we're able to breathe slowly and deeply. And yoga really is all about the breath. It's what sets it aside from other practices, is that the breath is the most important thing. And if you find in this class that your breath starts to be laboured or challenged, then it's a really clear indication to back off and modify the pose so that you're comfortable. Good, feeling the abdomen expand with the inhale and release back with the exhale. And you can imagine now that the belly's like a balloon, so as you inhale, it's big. And as you exhale, it starts to shrink. Good. And then let's take the hands interlaced around the right shin and bring the knee into the body. So it's fine to stay with the left leg bent, or you can extend it. Good. So the indicator is how it feels in the lower back and also the hamstring. This is a really healthy way to do it. With a straight leg, it's not like it's better, it's just slightly different on the body. So find what's good for your body. You're pulling quite hard on this shin. You're keeping your shoulders back in space and you're breathing deeply. It gets into the deep muscles around the hip, releasing around the hip flexors. Check that the jaw is relaxed and the face is soft. This is called Vatanasana, roughly related as wind releasing pose, but it can also be described as a pose that increases apana, which is the downward kind of grounding energy described in yoga. So you might, as you release the leg, get more of a sense of the floor and more of a sense of being heavy in time and space. Good. Bringing the other knee in now, the left leg. There's nothing particularly technical to do with this pose. Just make sure that you're not grimacing in the face and that your shoulders are released. It can feel quite uncomfortable in the hip, but that's normally quite a good pain. It's one that will completely go when you release the leg. But if you have any hypermobility issues in the hips, just be careful with this pose. And go to your own kind of healthy limit. Check that you're still breathing deeply. Good. And then we're going to release that leg to the floor. Take a moment here. Notice the sensations in the body. Good. And then rolling over to the right side, we're going to do a pose called Ardha Mukha Virasina, downward facing Virasina. So you bring the knees wide, big toes together. This can be done lying on a bolster. If you find that your hips are really high, then get a folded blanket or a bolster so that there's a connection with your heels. Equally, if you find your forehead is hovering, then rest your head on a blanket or a cushion. That way you can really release into the shape. Good. Have your hands shoulder distance apart, fingers spread wide. And breathing deeply into where you can breathe. Because your abdomen is compressed, you'll probably find that your breath is kind of moving more in your back body, the back ribs. Maybe you can feel that expansion. Long, steady inhale, long, steady exhale. If the shoulders feel tight, have the arms a lot wider. If you want more opening in the shoulders, you could rest your hands on bricks. And about 5 more breaths here. This posture is a really good chest opener, good for releasing through the hips, and a great preparation for downward dog as it teaches the correct alignment of the spine. Good. I'm going to walk the hands slowly towards the knees, coming into down dog. So we'll just briefly come back into that previous pose to see what it feels like. Just check that my clothes are pulled down. Good. Okay, so spreading the fingers wide and then tucking the toes. You're not going to change the length between the hands and the feet, and you're going to come up into your downward dog, upside down V shape. Good. So often people ask me how to get their heels down to the floor. They say, oh, you know, everybody else has their heels down and my heels are up. Well, that's not actually the aim of downward dog. If you think about it, if I bring my feet closer, then yes, my heels come down, but then you might see that my spine is very hunched. So by having my heels lifted and the stance longer, I'll be able to have more length in the spine. And ultimately, for me, I think that's more of an important focus, because in an age where so many of us have back pain, thinking about really releasing, opening and lengthening through the spine is a great focus for down dog. Check that the elbows aren't locked. You can always bend the knees, actually, if you want a bit more length in the spine. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. 3 more deep breaths in your own time. Good. And then when you finish those 3 breaths, drop your knees down. And if your wrists are a bit tight, you can make some circles with the hands, one way, then the other way. So next we're going to just do a twisted lunge. This is a great place for a block if you've got one. If you haven't got a block, you could improvise with like a, I don't know, DVD set or a couple of hardback books. So coming into your box-shaped lunge, but make sure that you bring that front foot, so it'd be the right foot forward. Bring it quite far forward so that the knee doesn't go further than the heel. That way you're keeping the knee safe. Good. The block will go under the right hand, tuck the back toes, lift the heel. Good. And then twisting, reaching up with the left arm towards the ceiling. So you can have the brick upended, or you can have it flat, whatever suits you. So we'll think about this pose as for opening the heart space. So often as we get weary through the day, as we get a bit tired, we might collapse in this area. And then perhaps we lose our kind of enthusiasm for life. So heart openers are associated with opening the heart chakra, which is about compassion for self and others, but it's also about kind of being open to life. So as we breathe in this shape, perhaps you could envision what you're wanting to open more to, what you're wanting to bring more to in your life. And if this arm gets tired, just have it on the hip. Long inhale, long exhale. Nearly there. The back knee can always come down if you're tired, or if you're just wanting a slightly different style of pose and having not so much about strengthening and more about releasing and opening. Good. Okay, let's take it to the other side. I'll face towards you. So we're going to have the left leg forward, nice and long, front to back. Brick if you're using it under the left hand. Good. Coming into this nice open posture. Check the face is relaxed. And I didn't mention on the other side, I'm looking directly forward. Traditionally in yoga, the drishti point, the gaze point, is the thumb. But what I find is that if we start to look at the thumb and think that's the main focus, then the neck can get tight. And we're looking to find release in the neck rather than bring extra tension. What you want to think of rotating to face the thumb is your heart space, your chest. So think about that's what's turning to look up. And then one day, when your chest really is rotated, then the looking up will become natural, will come naturally because this part of the body is rotated. Good. Long, steady, even breath in and out of the nose. Remembering the options, you can have the back knee down, you can have the top hand to the hip. Really great. Such an amazing pose for vitality. Now we'll just have 30 seconds more. Notice anywhere you can soften. Perhaps you're holding on unnecessarily in the hips or the face. Stretching up with the top hand so you're not dumping into this left hand. Good. Then to come down, you can bring the top hand to the hip, back knee down. And let's just take child pose. So this time we're going to have, it's a variation of Adho Mukha Virasana, but child pose is traditionally with the arms either side of the body. You can even hold on to the feet. The head can be supported by a cushion or a brick, and you can put a rolled up blanket under your buttocks if you feel that they're hovering quite high. So taking about a minute in this pose. Being present in the sensations of the body and the breath. And releasing down. Yoga is really like an embodied form of meditation. So if you find it particularly hard, if you've tried meditation or if you're a bit worried that it would be too much, that your mind's too busy or that it's not comfortable, then doing these yoga poses, particularly the restorative ones, can bring that stillness to the mind through bringing the stillness to the body, and particularly bringing the awareness of breath is a technique traditionally used in meditation that helps bring us into the present moment. Good, that was probably a bit more than a minute, but it's a really nice one to do. So the next one we're going to do is called Vatanasana, or pyramid pose. So there, I'm just going to show you a couple of versions. You can either do it with 2 bricks or you can do it with the wall. So come to the front of the mat and then step back with the left leg. The legs are straight in this pose. The distance left and right is about hip distance. So hip distance meaning where the bones come out of the hips. It's not where they're, outside of the hips. So it's like a line coming down here. It's 2 fists. Anatomically, that seems to be the same on everyone's body. Good. Stepping back with the left leg. Grounding the heel. If that's really not comfortable for your knee, just lift the back heel. It makes it a bit more active, but then the knee will be happy. Good. And then as you inhale, we're going to look up. Exhale. Folding forward. Bring the hands to the brick. You can come longer. So then the other variation, to show you with the wall, is bring the hands to the wall. And it's a really, really great variation. I'll probably tend to do this one more, because with the pressing against the wall you get that resistance, so you can really find that length in the spine. Good. So we'll spend a few minutes in this pose. If you need to bend the front knee a bit, that's okay. You're looking forward slightly in space, maybe a metre or 2 on the floor. If you want to work on your alignment, bring the right hip slightly back, left hip slightly forward. And take a look at the toes. Often we grip with the toes. See if you can release. See if you can even spread them. There are so many bones in the feet. I don't even know how many. Hundreds maybe. No, I'm not sure. But if we start with spreading the feet, if we really start with connecting through all 4 corners of the feet, then it's a really great way to promote alignment in the whole of the rest of the body. So often elderly people fall a lot, and that's probably because they've kind of lost that connection with their feet. Inhaling deeply and exhaling fully. Good. Stepping the back foot forward. If you're on the wall, you can just come closer to the wall. Okay, so we'll do it on the other side. Left foot's forward, right foot back, hands on the hips, or reaching for the wall. Inhale, look up. Exhale, folding forward. Good, so this can be quite intense. You want to find a place where you've got that sweet spot between feeling sensation and stretch and working in the body, but not somewhere where you're resisting because you've gone too far. So like I said earlier, if you find that the breath is not flowing smoothly, then it's a great indication to back off. And again, if you want to do that alignment adjustment, shifting the left hip back and the right hip slightly forward. And maybe even the hands can come a bit further forward. Always prioritizing length in the spine over, for example, getting the head down or anything like that. Think of bringing the chest forward rather than down. Long, slow, steady inhale, filling the lungs with breath. Long, slow, steady exhale, maybe feeling the abdomen drawing in. Bring space to fold a little deeper over that extended leg. Good. And then bending the knee, step the foot forward, take the hands to the hips and come up. Good. So next we're going to just do chair pose, but I'm going to demonstrate it against the wall because it's really good to want to do against the wall. So chair pose is called Utkatasana, and that means fierce pose or kind of something a bit intense. So if you're not doing it against the wall, you can do it here. Have the feet hip distance apart, reach the arms up and sit into an imaginary chair. You want the knees to be back in space so that ideally they're above the heels more than above the toes. That's good for the knee health. Reaching the arms up, shoulder distance apart. Good. Breathing deeply, inhale fully and exhale. So in chair pose, we are traditionally cultivating strength and will, power, endurance, and how we are able to stay for longer in this pose is by being with the breath. So this is a skill that's great to cultivate in the rest of your life. Imagining being in a difficult situation but breathing deeply and fully to get yourself through that situation. Really helpful. Good, and I've kept you in for quite a long time, so just come out slowly. Okay, great counter pose for that is forward fold. So this can be done with hands on a chair or hands on bricks. Take the hands, the feet, hip distance apart, hands on the hips. Inhale, look up. We'll get you all to bend the knees as you come forward. So this is a really great way to do the pose with bent knees. If you've got lower back pain or upper back pain, I'd say bend the knees. Anyway, if you know that you are fairly flexible in the hamstrings, you can start to straighten the legs, maybe even bring the bricks lower or hands to the floor. And find a good place to work in this position for you. Drop the head so that the head completely hangs down. I'll give you a few variations here so you can find what suits you. Holding the elbows can be nice. And you just, everybody try bending the knees and see how that helps you really release the spine. Even with bent knees, the hamstrings will stretch because they attach under the knee and above the hips. They're the only muscle in the body that crosses across two joints. Good. Another option is holding the backs of the calves if you want a particularly deep forward fold. And really let that head go. Shake it, release through the jaw. Big inhale, long exhale. Let the shoulders be soft. Good. And then everybody bending the knees to come out, hands to the hips, slowly coming out. Good. So you might notice that your attention has gone more inwards. Forward folds tend to be more kind of introverted. And as we transition into the final few poses, we're going to cultivate more of that inward focus. So I've got just a scarf today as a strap to demonstrate that you don't need a traditional yoga strap. You can just use any piece of material, maybe a dressing gown strap or a towel. So we're going to do a pose called Subtabada Kanasana. Lying down, kind of big toe to face stretch, it translates as, but actually the big toe isn't going to go to the face, it's going to go up towards the ceiling. So I've got my right leg extended up, the strap's going to go across the ball of the foot. And then this knee can be bent. If you've got really flexible hamstrings, you can straighten that leg, but notice if it doesn't feel right. If this leg starts to go like that when you straighten, then keep it bent. Good. So the reason we use a strap is so that we can relax the shoulders. Take a look at the foot. Flex the toes towards the face. Sole of the foot is parallel to the ceiling. Relax the face, relax the jaw. Be with a steady, smooth breath. And I didn't mention it's completely fine to have a bent right leg too. As I said, you can stretch the hamstring with a bent knee. Putting even more focus now on the exhalation. And noticing any effect that has on the mind or the body. It can be really helpful before sleep to start to cultivate a longer exhale, because it brings us into that more restful state. Good. And then release the strap and straighten both legs on the floor. Release the arms out to the side and notice the difference you feel in the legs. You might even feel that the right leg feels longer or kind of more expansive. So that can be described as the feeling of prana, which is this term in yoga to describe this health and vitality. So in Western medicine we might think of it as increased blood flow or nerve health or lymph flow. But prana is a kind of all-encompassing term for that. Good. Bending the knees. Bring the left knee in towards the body. Bring the strap across the ball of the foot and extend the leg up. It might start bent, but you might start to straighten as you find spaciousness in the back of the leg. I invite you to imagine you're directing your breath into where you feel sensation. Check the shoulders are released. You can hold lower on the strap if that helps. And this can be a really nice way to practice this pose. There's a standing up version, but this is almost a better way to practice it because your spine alignment is really good as your spine is supported by the floor. There's no chance of hunching forward, and that way you can really practice on the leg extension. Maybe walking your hands up the strap. Taking about 5 more deep breaths. Good, and when you've finished those breaths, come again to lying flat. And again, notice any awareness of that prana, that aliveness, that vitality. Good. So before we come into our final resting pose, we'll do a seated twist. It's really great to sit up on some height. I've got a bolster here, but you could use a brick, a folded up blanket, or I like to have a brick with a blanket on top so that there's that softness. Good. So we're coming into cross-legged. Feet roughly under the knee. Imagine that the shin bones are kind of straight and perpendicular. Good. It's not exact, but you're working towards that so that you get good opening in the hips. Good. You're going to inhale, reach the arms up. And then twisting to the right. Bring the right hand behind you or on some height. And then bring the left hand to the opposite knee. So I'm going to do this in a slow way because I think it's the best way to get the full benefits from the twist. Twists are really nourishing for the spine. They're great for energizing, but they're also good for balancing over kind of stimulation. Good. So have your belly button facing towards the front as you start to twist your shoulders to the right. Good. Keep looking forward. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, start to twist your abdomen round, keeping looking forward. So you want to make sure that you're sitting evenly on your sitting bones. You'll find probably that one starts to lift up, so try and ground through that one. Good, steady, even breath. And then twisting the rib cage to the right, keeping looking forward. Inhale to extend, exhale to rotate. You want to imagine that your spine is like a string of pearls on a necklace, and you don't want any of the pearls to touch. You want to keep that space between them. Check that your head is over the tailbone rather than leaning to one side. Good, and then finally rotating the head. You can close your eyes here. So it takes a lot of strength in the abdomen to get a really good twist. As you exhale, actively draw your abdominal wall back in space. Big inhale, big exhale, soft in the jaw, soft in the face. And then when we stay in these twists for a really long time, you'll feel this kind of rush of energy up the spine, sometimes described as Kundalini. The spine is thought of as the kind of river of the flow of life. So the pelvis being the start of the river, and the brain being the kind of final destination, if you like. Good. Slowly rotating back to center. Rest your hands on your knees and just take a moment to feel the sensations. It can be quite strong. And it's something that you don't get if you do the twist quickly. It's got to be done slowly, and then you really get the lovely feeling. So we're going to change across to the legs. All the twists in yoga, the seated twists, are named after wise sages because they're seen as these kind of ethereal poses that have magical powers. So, don't underestimate the power of these twists. Good. Inhale, reaching up, and exhale, twisting to the left. Good. The reason I've got a brick is because I'm sitting up quite high and my hand wouldn't reach the floor otherwise. Good. So again, looking forward, sitting up tall, relaxing the face. Big inhale and big exhale. Rolling the left shoulder back. Good. Big inhale. Lovely. And then exhale. Draw the abdomen in. Start to twist from the abdomen. You might find there's some kind of cranky areas of the back or spine. Close your eyes and imagine you're directing your breath into those areas. That will really help to bring either space or softening. Good. Inhale, lift. Exhale, rotating the rib cage. Keep the shoulders rolled back and down. Check that. The hips are relaxed. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, twisting the head wherever's comfortable round to the left. So you're going to close your eyes here and then really feel into the pose. Being with the whole of the length of the inhale, the whole of the length of the exhale. Remembering to draw the abdomen in as you exhale. Where can you soften? Where can you lengthen? Good, one more breath here. Lovely, and then slowly rotating back, resting the hands, facing down and observing the sensations in the body. Great, so you can stop the video here if you want to do your own Shavasana. I'd recommend at least 5 minutes, but 10 minutes is ideal because it's the most important posture in yoga. You could set a gong timer. Otherwise, we'll do a few minutes here. So you want to set up so that you're really warm and comfortable. Make sure you've got a blanket and put some socks on, maybe an extra jumper. So coming to lie down on your back. In the same way before, you can use a bolster under your knees if you like. And some support under the head is really helpful, especially if you've got tight shoulders. So I'm going to imagine that I'm walking my hands up some ropes and then walking my shoulder blades under the body so that when I rest my hands down, comfortable distance away from the body, palms facing up, there's lots of spaciousness for my neck because my shoulder blades are down. Let the toes drop out to the sides. And then feel the support of the ground. Close your eyes or just have a soft gaze into the room. Or have a brief body scan and then I'll leave you in quiet for a few minutes. So beginning, bring your attention to the soles of the feet. You don't have to do anything, you could move them if you want. Feeling the sensations. And then let's bring your attention into the toes. So both big toes, second toes, third toes, fourth toes and fifth toes. And if you find you're just drifting off, don't worry, you don't need to listen to my voice. Know that there is some part of you, some subconscious part that is listening and responding. Bringing your awareness into the lower legs, the calves, backs of the knees, backs of the thighs, groins, lower back, middle back, upper back. And let the natural flow of the breath be as it is. You don't need to do anything to change it. And bringing attention to the palms of the hands. Thumbs, index fingers, middle fingers, ring fingers and little fingers. Into the wrists, into the forearms and the upper arms. And then the head, back of the head, the cheeks, tongue, jaw and throat. Feeling the eyes and the eyelids. And then feeling the whole body. The whole body.